And good morning, everyone. So today I thought what I would do my second video in this series that I want to do about that's titled "Why the Hate." I want to find out why certain movies, bands, albums from bands, books, TV shows, why they're hated by so many people, and I don't understand the hate. I respect people's opinions. I don't care how you feel about whatever topic I am discussing here. I do respect it. You're allowed to have your opinions, obviously. I'm just trying to understand. And I would like to know why exactly do you all hate them or hate this? So today, it's going to be about Kiss, a band that either you love them or you hate them. Now, I've always loved them. Ever since I was a baby, my dad's been playing these albums for me. And so I've grown up the last 36 years listening to them, watching videos on them, and they are my number one favorite band. And I don't get upset when people hate on them or whatever. And I do understand that Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley are they're idiots, obviously. Um, but when it comes to music, they're really good at what they do. And I think they don't get a lot of credit for their songwriting. Maybe some songs are kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird or dumb. But I think they're good musicians. It's basic meat and potatoes rock and roll. No, you don't have to have all these huge arrangements and complicated whatever. That stuff's good, but you know, whatever. So I am going to show off my CDs and stuff and just talk about them a little bit. And again, I'm trying to understand why they're hated. Um, some of it may be racial, but I don't typically believe that that's the case. And I think a lot of it is because of the look, more than anything, of the band. You get the first album, their debut, I love. And most of all these songs on this album still played today. They're staples of any Kiss concert. And I am, of course, going to see them this weekend, and I cannot wait. But I also get to see Rob Zombie. And I don't see a lot of hate towards him. I still not understand why there'd be hate there. What there is. And you get Hotter Than Hell, their second album. Now, these didn't really chart very well. Um, they struggled. Just to Kill, third album, which is an album I've listened to a lot over the years, and is a top 10, top 5 album. Sometimes it's number 1 album for me. I love this album. That and the first one I've been listening to my whole entire life. And of course, the great Kiss Alive. I know it's not 100% live. I get it. A lot of these albums back then were like that, you know? And these are, of course, just songs from their first 3 albums. Next album, Destroyer, produced by Bob Ezrin, who worked with Alice Cooper. Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun. Some of these, you can tell, are kind of old CDs, and they've traveled a lot. I've traveled a lot, and so some of them are kind of beat up, but hey. The sequel, Alive 2, with 5 studio tracks. And then, of course, you get the solo albums, which Ace is usually considered the best of the 4. I actually like Paul's the best, but these 2 are both really, really good. Gene Simmons is a third, a distant third, really, because this is not the best. And then this, But I do like the music, though, on here. I think it's pretty cool what he was trying to do. I mean, this is them showing off their personalities. I mean, they were 4 individuals. We're all individuals, aren't we? We should be. Dynasty, which is considered the disco album, but again, Other people have said this, and not everything on here is disco. And yes, this is beat up too because again, it's traveled a lot. I grew up with this one too because my dad had that the first one, Alive 2, Dressed to Kill, and then he had this one, Unmasked. Very poppy, but I like it though. The Elder, which was hated at the time, I like it, and I think it's underrated. And this will be a future video because, again, it's an album that people hate, and I'm trying to understand the hate. Of course, most of the old school Kiss fans, I understand why, because of the heavy sound that they had. They put this out, and they came back with this one, and it's like, even though they were promised a heavier album, they did get, and of course, it didn't do very well because people were just like done with the band at that point. Creatures of the Night, which is now a top 10 album for me. I love this album. Creatures of the Night, title track, Saint and Sinner, Keep Me Coming, Rock and Roll Hell, Danger, I Love It Loud, I Still Love You, Killer, War Machine. A couple of these were co-written with Bryan Adams. Yes, the Bryan Adams. Excuse me. These. Then they take the makeup off. Unmasked. Or Lick It Up. Oh, jeez. See, Unmasked would be a better title for this, because they actually unmasked. Which is really good too, just like Creatures. I mean, it's one of the best albums they have. Animalize, Asylum. The next two albums I don't have copies of. Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade. But I do have Revenge. The first 90s album. This is a great album. Kind of a little grungy. They're trying to be anyway. Which they would try to do on another album, Carnival of Souls, which I also don't have. That got shelved because of the reunion. Of course, you have Psycho Circus, which was supposed to be the reunion album, but the entire band didn't really play on everything, so we were kind of lied to about that. And of course, Gene and Paul admitted that years later. I was disappointed. Of course, during all this, we also had Alive 3, which I also don't have, and the MTV Unplugged special, which I also don't have, but I got the video, which I will show in a minute. Alive 4, which is done with an orchestra. Rock music is so much better with an orchestra. And I got a couple greatest hits albums because I didn't have a lot of these CDs at the time, and I'm glad I do now. Sonic Boom, which is an awesome album, the current band, and then they did Monster, which is not as good as Sonic Boom, but I do like it. And of course, Kiss Rocks Vegas. This is a good one too. I haven't watched the DVD in here yet, but I mean it's the same as what's on the CD part. And I'm gonna try to listen to some Kiss, I think, on the way to the show, since I will be going to see them. So that would be kind of cool. But you haven't lived until you've seen them live, and seeing them live is better than listening to them on CD. And we have a collection here they came out with years ago called Kissology, and it has some of their shows and TV moments and stuff. Volume 1, which when I saw the commercial for this, I had to have it. I was, 19 when this came out? And I'm like, I have to have this. I've got to have it. Pretty interesting stuff on there. It only covers 74 to 77. Volume 2 picks up where it leaves off, has their lame Phantom of the Park movie. It's so awful, it's good. I like movies like that are just so awful, but they're good. That would be one of them. It goes up to 1991, and so there's a lot that happens in here. Of course, Eric Carr died, which was so sad and tragic. Same day as Freddie Mercury. And even worse, well, not even worse, that sounds terrible, but just as bad, my dad lost his grandfather, I think, the same day as well. And that's awful. He was old, but, I mean, it's sad. When the loved one dies, I mean, I lost 2 grandparents. Well, 3, but one died before I was born, and I wish I could have met him. I really do. But died 10 years before I was born. I won't get to meet him, unfortunately. There's a little ticket to go see the movie. Little affection thing. And of course they had these little booklets in here, some quotes from the band and stuff. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff, I think. One of the discs fell on the ground, and I'll pick that up later. And of course, Volume 3, which goes up to 2000. There's plenty more after this. I don't know why they didn't continue. They were supposed to do an Cassology 4. It never happened. But this has their MTV Unplugged special on it. My favorite band. You love them or you hate them. So I would like to know, why do you hate them? I just want to know. Curious. And I know I've heard probably all of this before, the reasons why. And I, of course, respectfully disagree. But maybe I'm a little biased here. But this is... yeah. And if you do love them, tell me why. So anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoy. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, and I will see you all later.